Well, good evening Internet, and as always I do hope this finds you well. Tonight's subject has been dubbed the world's best unknown guitarist. He allegedly turned down the Stones. He also allegedly could magic up a purple Fender Telecaster from a friend with connections, and also would have us believe that he was half wolf. However, questionable though elements of his personal history may be, his chops and his playing, the music he created, speak for themselves. I'm talking, of course, about none other than Jeff Beck's favourite guitarist, Roy Buchanan. So, as is customary, if you check in the blog post, which is up on Patreon, Ko-fi and Subscribestar, then you'll find a brief potted history of the man, the myth, the legend. And we'll also have tabbed out some of his licks and provide a little bit of explanation and context. What I'm going to do here is just demonstrate some of them right now. So let's dive in then with a little bit of a primer on a couple of techniques that Roy Buchanan kind of adopted as signatures, and the first is the violining technique. Now what I'm going to do here is roll the volume off. There we are, fully up. There we are, fully back. On, off, as you can hopefully see on camera 3 there. And what I'm going to do is hit the note, roll the volume in. And the resulting slow attack kind of mimics a violin or possibly a string section. And if you're a fan of Roy Buchanan, or you've invested any of his music, and you really should, you probably recognise that as the opening few notes of his famous Sweet Dreams instrumental. You might also recognise the technique from Jeff Beck, who brought it into use for "Because We've Ended as Lovers." And I'm pretty sure Eddie Van Halen has done this a couple of times over as well. One other trick that, well, he certainly didn't, he's not exclusive to Roy Buchanan, one might say, is the pinch harmonic, or as he would term it, the high overtone. So what I'm doing there is picking the string and then just gently grazing it with the thumb. Difficult to do slowly, as it doesn't really work slowly, but if I try these different angles here, you can kind of hear it at work. And if I were to show you via some very fancy CGI, if you imagine that's the string, right? If I strike it with the pick, it vibrates, creates the note. But if I pick it, it vibrates, and then I graze it with the thumb, I've now muted the fundamental of the note and am allowing some of the higher harmonic or overtone content to ring through, giving you that squeal. And as you can hear, depending on where you pick it, you'll get different overtones or harmonics coming through. Please do discuss in the comments whether it's an overtone or a harmonic. My physics background is GCSE, which is probably about 100 years ago by this point, so I'm not really in any position to comment. Right, let's go and take a look at some of his licks. So the first one that we're going to take a look at is drawn from The Messiah Will Come Again. This is in C major, and we're going to be using C major pentatonic up here at position 4. And here is the lick itself. So you can see we've got lots of quite evocative string bending. Primarily bending from the second, that's the D note here, into the major third, that's the E. And then we've got quite a quirky string bend here on the G note. from 5th into 6th, G into A, and then a little position shift, and we're finishing the lick off with a little run down in thirds, E to C, D to B, A, and a bent G up to A, which we then finish off. And that kind of follows the chord progression as the chord itself moves to the A minor. Next we're going to move into his absolutely epic, legendary 8-minute solo on the cover of Booker T and the MG's Green Onions, which is an F minor. And we're using position 1 of F minor pentatonic here. And here is the lick. And we've got some absolutely searing string bends here. And then finishing off down on that F root note on the 15th fret of the D. And then we have this quirky little phrase here. And again, this is all fairly stock F minor pentatonic. What's interesting is this bend here. That is the flat 3rd, bend up to 4th, and he's doing it with his first finger. And again, Jeff Beck fans are going to be scratching their heads and going, hang on, I know that. So here's the lick played through slowly. Now I'm going to play it again slowly. And now I'm going to play it a bit more at the speed Roy was playing it. And I'm going to take the third example also from Green Onions. I mean, to be quite honest, there was enough playing in there, an absolute treasure trove of licks that we could take all of our examples this month from that one solo. But this is him negotiating another turn around about 30 seconds later, about 2 minutes 30 in. Here's the lick itself. And I'll slow that down. So we've got these little double stop bends here on the 15th fret. More double stops, slightly offset in the next bar. Then we're walking our way down the blues scale. And then making our way up the minor pentatonic in triplets: E flat, F, A flat, B flat, C, E flat, F, A flat, and finishing off there on the F note itself. So we have flat 7 root, flat 3rd 4th, 5th, flat 7 root, flat 3rd. So once again, slowly. And a little bit more at the speed of Roy on this one. And then finally we're going to come to his most famous work, which is of course Sweet Dreams. This is in the key of G major, and we are using E minor or G major pentatonic, depending on whether you've had a good or a bad day today. If you're not, the reference doesn't really fly with you. Well, E minor pentatonic is E, G, A, B, D. G major pentatonic is G, A, B, D, E, so they are basically exactly the same notes seen from slightly different perspectives. Here is the lick itself. So we've got the bend up, very languid, laid back lyrical phrasing, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere comes this open string but lick that absolutely barnstorms you. And you can see he's kind of blending first and second position minor pentatonic there. And then we're back to languid string bending again. So here's the whole thing through slowly. And a little bit more up to Roy speed. And there we go. If anybody's looking a bit more Roy Buchanan, I did do a cover of Sweet Dreams up on this channel, which I will throw a link down in the description too. Please go and check out some of his stuff. Absolutely sublime guitar player, criminally overlooked, and another one gone far, far before his time. This time at 48, which I'm going to be in about 5 minutes. So again, slightly disconcerting. So there we are. I hope you've enjoyed that. Please do remember, like, share, subscribe, the YouTube Holy Trinity. Don't be fooled by these Hollywood production values. This is a very small channel. It's a one-man operation on 2 old mobile phones and a donated PC. So every subscribe, every like, every comment is all gratefully received. You can find me on Patreon, Ko-Fi and Subscribestar. And yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I will wrap this up before I start the waffle and see you on the next one. All right.